week because anybody can talk. We all know that we can talk. How many of us have ever talked right by our spouse, had a whole conversation, and you just know that nothing you said or very little of what you said actually landed, and you know you're going to have this conversation again? Yes. Okay. I was talking to my mother-in-law this morning. We were talking about an issue before Allie came around, and she asked me a question. I thought about it, gave her my advice, and I went, wait a minute. Okay, this is how you and I, as overthinkers, who else is an overthinker? Anybody else? Okay, it's great, it's wonderful. We think before we speak, we think through every nuance of every issue before we talk about it, and then when we talk about it and didn't talk about it right, we spend all the time thinking about what we should have said, how we should have said it, and why we should and should not have said anything. It's a wonderful place to be inside of our head. But I did that with my mother-in-law. I said, wait a minute, this is how we would handle this issue. Allie is blessed with not going back and overthinking anything. She, boom, this is the decision and here we go. And I went, that's how we would handle it. She would counsel us to do the exact opposite. So you know what? I think in this case, let's do it the way she would do it. And Allie showed up. We told her what we came to the decision, and I said, I thought I'd do this, but I was thinking of you, honey, and we're going to do it this way. And she went, I hear what you're saying, but I think you should do it this way. 29 years of marriage, and I still can't figure out and get right. And that is the most distressing part. That's why I brought this even up, is because even when you're trying to communicate, listening to your spouse, thinking about responses and coming up with, here's the way I would do it, here's the way I believe my spouse would do it, because I have paid attention to all the cues and everything, you still get it wrong, and it's still impossible, and you'll still be surprised all the time. It was astounding to me. There was this, there's another, here's what I want to concentrate on about marital communication, okay? I was watching a woman on stage. She's a professional communicator person, and she was giving her story before the crowd. And she said, for the first 10, and I don't remember what it was exactly, but it was some kind of empowering people to speak out and how to be a leader and how to talk about things, okay? And she said in her talk, said, for the first 10 years of my research, I didn't talk to men. I didn't talk to them. I only researched basically the female way of communicating and how to empower yourself to speak and to be seen in the public this way. And I gave a talk, and I was all done, and a man came up to me after and said, you know what, that was a great talk, but I want you to know something. My wife and daughters want me to be that white knight on the horse and to die in that position. They don't want me to be soft and to speak kindly and to be warm and considerate of others' opinions. Basically, a more feminine way of communicating. They want me to die on that horse. And she said that was like a little mind virus that got in, and she started thinking about it and was like, why would he say something like that? And so she started talking to men in the way that men and women talk and communicate, and she was like, I totally missed it. I did 10 years of research. I was giving talks about this, and I totally missed that most of the time, in normal parameters of relationship, a woman would prefer that her husband be the white knight and die on that hill, but to be male, strong, and protecting than to be a different way. And she was totally flummoxed by that, and then went on and had more of a talk. So when I talk about communication, and the point I'm trying to get to here is that marital communication between men and women faces many, many problems when it gets right down to the issue. And I'm going to illustrate this very quickly. Craig, since I pointed out, for a man, and I think all of us can answer this question, and Dallas, I'm going to include you too, since we now have 3 men in the audience now, because I was starting out until 2 minutes before class, I was the only male in this, and I was getting worried. When it comes to loving our spouse, what we look for in a spouse, what is the first thing, the number one thing that men want in a significant other toward us? When we look for somebody and we say, love means to us, what does love mean to us? What do we look for? Not the total package, but what do men want most from their spouse and from their children?
Appreciation?
Appreciation. There's another word for appreciation. You're right, because we'd like to be appreciated for what we do.
Respect.
Respect.
Yeah.
I raised my children, and I said more times than I could ever care to count, fear, love, and respect. I will accept fear from you, but that's not what I want. Love is what I hope for, but I will have respect from you. Because to men, the bottom line is respect. If you do not respect me, you will not show appreciation. If you do not respect me, you will not help me. Therefore, if you will not help me and respect me, I need to put my guard up. Because women, the default position for men is guarding. Because when we open up and become vulnerable, we go, that can be used against me. I am going to allow a chink in my armor. I will protect myself. And if you women inside the marital relationship, again, understanding, let me put my parameters, in the normal marital relationship, I'm not talking physical and emotional abuse, I'm not talking the most extremes. When we get to the extremes, definitions kind of change. But in the broad, middle, normal, if you speak to your husband in a disrespectful manner, you will get the smallest, sharpest version of him. This is not a momentary irritation. You didn't pick up your clothes for the 18th time that I told you, and we go, when did you tell me to pick up the clothes? This is not one of those normal irritations. This is when there's serious disrespect going on. If you speak to your husband in a manner that gets him to feel disrespect, you will get the guarded, smallest version of him, and he will speak to you and treat you that way. And it will be very cold, and it will be very
Blunt.
unnerving, very blunt, very rude. Okay? Women, I asked men first so that I could set this, because I believe I know some of the answer, but again, I've only been married 29 years, and even when I think I got the answer, I just showed you I don't really. But for you, broadly speaking, okay, there are lots of different versions. Broadly speaking, what do you want from your spouse? What do you look for? Communication. What is important to you? So this isn't a right or a wrong answer. It's a research has shown more often than not things are like this. But generally, in communicating, in talking, what is the number one thing that you want? If respect is the bottom line for men, women, what is the bottom line for you? I know I'm put it, come on, there's no right or wrong. If you say, okay, if you're living in a relationship that things are very difficult with your spouse, and you've just had a series of months-long arguments and things about, that answer is going to go, I want respect because my husband doesn't respect me. That's the right answer. I'm talking the broad middle that we can look maybe past the emotion for the moment and go, what says love to you? Anybody want to venture?
Respect it.
Respect, okay. Anybody else want to?
I think what I think back, what it could have been is that not recognizing, I don't know how you call this, but not recognizing or understanding the level of stress that I'm having, that he's not seeing that. So when something isn't clear in that stress, there's a level of anger that comes out to everything around me. So
I love that you said that, because this is what I was trying to get to last week and did kind of a poor job from my perspective, but you're hitting the nail on the head, is that the way that women communicate, there is a lot of unspoken things and expectation amongst women when you talk and communicate, which is what you just hit there. And while men have some of that, it is much more prevalent and in the forefront with women. What does that mean? Why can men come downstairs, come from the bedroom, walk past the piles of clothes, walk past all the dirty things, walk into the kitchen with the dirty dishes, walk past the laundry that needs to be changed from the washer to the dryer. We can walk in, do all of these things, and walk past you and not see that you're on edge. And then they go, sweetheart, I asked you to pay the bill the other day. Did you go ahead and do that? And boom, you blow up. And you go, how in the world did you do all of this and now you're putting this pressure on me? Because men are single focused. Women are not. You have diffuse focus. You can focus on multiple things all at once. They're all meaningful. We come in and say something, and or we're all adults here. It's not normally the way we talk about it in a church Bible class, but men have the temerity at 9 o'clock in the morning when you're stressed and go, sweetheart, it's been a week or two. You think we could maybe have sex tonight? And you're like, don't ask me for anything like that. Because we are communicating on different levels, and we have next to no understanding, as evidenced by how I started this class off, that I can think I know what my wife is going to say, and I have no idea, and that's with me trying very hard to weigh things out the way I think she would weigh things out. When men aren't trying and they're being their most male, they are not being difficult. They are not being mean to you. They literally do not pick up on. They might pick up on that you're feeling tense. They have no idea why, because you've never said your expectations. This is what makes marital communication different than co-worker, or even here among people that worship together. We see each other once a week. So if I step on your toes when I communicate, oh, I'm sorry, I apologize. Do you have something going on? We talk, we move on. We're not family, we're not involved in each other's lives. But marital communication, that casual level of disrespect that we display toward each other, has cumulative effect, and we need to learn to overcome those things. Okay? Generally speaking, the word that I have heard used is that the lens that you women look through, generally speaking. So when I say you, I'm not talking to you. I'm using the capital Y, the royal you, which is representative of all women in all situations. is that generally women look at things through the lens of security. Okay, again, hardwired, biological things. Why is it that a woman always wants to talk about the relationship and how things are, how we feel about each other, what's going on, and men don't in generalities, or male communication doesn't do that? Because if your spouse is not paying attention to your well-being and you're caring, he doesn't care about me. If he doesn't care about me, if he doesn't provide for me, then I'm out there by myself and I need to protect myself. And it gives rise to different thoughts that I need to change what I'm doing. So I need to make sure that the relationship is on a good footing at all times. Whereas men, how did I start it off with the joke? Life gets really good when we reach this stage of adulthood where we realize there is nobody coming to help us. We need to figure it out on our own. That's our default. We think that our sons have grown up and have arrived when they don't turn to me and go, Dad, how do you fix this problem? What can you do? How you can do it? They go, oh yeah, house was falling down. I propped it up, redid the roof, rebuilt the side of the wall. Everything's fine. Great job, son. And you didn't ask me for money or help. Fantastic. Because you've arrived, because you realize that's a problem that you need to take care of yourself, and nobody's supposed to come help you, because as a man, your job is to take care of it. We don't need to know the status of the relationship. There's a problem, there's a focus. I need to do this, this, and this to fix that. You can, but that's not your, capital U, that's not the general female response. It's, why does my wife, here you go men, here's the question, we're not going to get an answer to it. Why does my wife wait until there are 10 miles to E on her car before she goes, oh, sweetheart, my car needs gas? Why? I still don't know the answer. I mean, I think I do, because in her mind, it's my job to get the gas. And she reminded me, she just happened to remind me because she never pays attention. I fill my truck up at half a tank so that if the balloon goes up and the Russians invade, that I'm able to drive to where I need to, and I know I have a full tank of gas to get me there, not 5 miles down the road where we run out of gas. There is a difference in focus. That's not to say either one of us cannot do those different things. It's the way we filter information. So for men, and even when we use, I'm going to point out, even when we use the word respect, we use that word differently. If you generally ask a man, what do I look for in a woman? What do I want from the women in my life? I want someone that my spouse is not going to emasculate me too much. Think about this. My wife is not going to emasculate me too much, too bad, or if she does it too much, she'll listen to me when I say, you were wrong and you need to stop doing this. Women, it is generally a foreign concept to define respect in the way that men define respect. When I will simplify it. When your husband goes and says the sky is green and he is clearly wrong, okay? Like you said, you don't know what's making up, what's going into his emotional state at the particular time. You just look at your husband and go, he's agitated, he's tired, agitated, angry. I don't know why, but he's not talking about it, and he just said the sky is green. He is as wrong as he can possibly be. Respect to a man is, in that situation, is that when your children come up and are going, Dad, you're nuts. It's not that. Stop. He's not able to hear it right now. Do not argue with your father. Back off. You have his back. You're not buying into his delusion, but you're showing him respect by protecting him in his vulnerability, that he quite literally, women, does not have the words in that moment. He might be frustrated because he knows he's angry, things are not right, but I can't even identify the emotion that I'm feeling about the problem at work and the people that are at work. And he literally does not know what he is feeling. And you come up and hit him with, why didn't you pay the bills? Look at the lawn, it's not mowed. You told me you were going to fix this and didn't do it. So respect to a man means you have his back and you protect him, not forgive the wrong, but you say, I'm going to fight the battles that I recognize that my husband does not have the time or energy or ability to fight right now. That is what respect means. Women generally define respect differently. The word is respect, but it also entails in that word relational. If you respect me, then you will speak respectfully to me. You will not speak in a disrespectful tone. Okay? I am not going down the bad road when I say this. I am not minimizing because it is legitimate. But mostly what men say when we argue with women is, she's tone policing. I can't, let me reduce it. When I was at a soccer field, before I was a referee, when I was just a soccer dad, I was very loud on the sidelines. And Allie would come to me all the time and go, Mark, it's not what you say, it's the tone of voice that you use when you say it. You sound angry. Don't. These girls can't handle it. She was tone policing me. What do you think happened at that moment? Did I become calmer or did I ratchet up my anger? Because of all the things going on, the most unimportant thing to me is the tone in which I say it. Because when I say it with anger and urgency, I am conveying how much you need to do this now. And I don't have time to tone police. Because, of course, when I was in the Marines, my sergeant always made sure to come up and go, Dear Mark, could you please stand up when it's convenient for you, put your pack on, and let's go on a 20-mile force march. And he asked me very nicely, or did he grab me, kick me in the butt, and say, get up, get in line, and let's go. And I don't care if you're tired, so am I. We'll complain about it at the end of 20 miles in 11 hours. Men don't worry about tone policing. Women do, to a large degree. So respect, even when we use the same terms, I'm trying to get to the point of helping everyone to understand we use the terms differently. That doesn't make it right or wrong. What that means is that women, okay, here's the first piece of advice I'm going to give in this class. Women, if you want to have a better communication with your husband, you need to speak directly to your husband, not in the tone of speaking to your 5-year-old, but in the details that you spoke to your 5-year-old. Sweetheart, you walked by me this morning, I was agitated, you didn't ask me, you didn't care, you went and left and did everything. Okay, what I need you to understand is you came out of the bedroom. We've both been tired. I'm sorry, focus on you a lot. I don't really mean it. We've both been tired. We've both let the house become a pigsty to our mind. I need you, please, now, today, or by tomorrow. I don't know where you are in your cycle of doing things. I need you to go and pick up the things that we walk by in the hallway. Or it's, sweetheart, I need you to do the dishes, to change over the laundry, and to clean up at least the kitchen so that I can function today. In male world, that doesn't mean anything. But if you're going to come to me at 8 o'clock tonight and say, sweetheart, I'd like to have sex this evening, and you get told no with anger, I'm not rejecting you, you're asking me to do, it becomes, what does sex become to women? When I ask that way, I've ignored all the things to do around the house. I haven't been affectionate all day and I say, let's have sex tonight. I just put one more thing on your calendar to do. You're irritated. I'm not going to say angry. I'm just going to say you're irritated. You don't feel like it. It's not something you want to do, and I just made it a burden. Okay? Wives, when your husband comes and says, can we have sex tonight? And you say no on Monday, no on Tuesday, no on Wednesday. I'm removing all the other lead up to it. But when he is asking the question, no, 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 and that goes 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Some marriages end up being essentially sexless. Why? And I'm going to put it, you wives are not mean people. This is the person you love. You don't feel like it. Okay? I'm going to give you a clue here if no one has ever said this, or maybe you don't have a type of marriage that these things are talked about in this way. But when a man comes and says, can we have sex? Here's the best I can do to put this in female language as opposed to male. Sweetheart, and I'm going to turn this way so that I don't single you out again. Honey, I am feeling disconnected. Everything at work is beating me down. We've had nothing but surface level communication for quite a while. You don't touch me, you don't hug me, you don't do anything. If you're not a toucher or hugger, if physical touch is not your thing, probably your husband's is, and he wants to say, I'm dying out here, withering on the vine, I'm getting absolutely no attention from anybody. I need to connect with you. Can you please do? First of all, you'd look at your husband like a two-headed monster going, what the heck? But what he is saying is, sweetheart, I need your love and affection. I need your attention. He's actually saying, he's asking for sex, but what he's really asking for is, I need attention, I need tenderness, I need caring, I need affection. But we don't have those words. I know what the word affection is. I don't know how to ask for it. And so I say, sweetheart, can we have sex? And you take, none of you, by saying no, actually mean, most of the time, to reject us and hurt us. Nobody is that mean to their spouse. But you don't realize what he's asking for because he's asking in the only way that he knows. So, yes, when he comes up, touches your arm, pats you on the butt when he's walking by in the hallway, something like that, and he says, either at 8 o'clock in the morning or 8 o'clock at night, can we do this? Yes, it is a burden. Yes, you may not feel like it. It might be the last possible thing that you want to do. But if you recognize he's actually asking me for affection, you can actually say, sweetheart, no. Today, I cannot. But thank you for asking. I can tomorrow. There are very, very, very few men that would take that kind of thing personally, and they would go, you know what, she heard me, she cares, we'll reconnect, I can handle another day, that doesn't bother me. But my wife how do I put it? Saw me. I became visible. I still don't know what that means, but that I see that on TikTok now. I need to be seen. I need to be heard. You're seen. You're heard. Sit there. Shut up. Go do your job. I just saw you. I heard you, and I told you what to do. That's how men handle this. But there is a way that you women must, because men are not intentionally trying to be difficult, boorish, or rude to our spouses. Again, in the normal context of relationship, we do not see what you're feeling. We do not know how to respond to it. And this is how you train us. That if you gave us the key, we are very, very good at following directions. You give us a list, we will follow it to a T. But you're most of the time, okay? Again, no, we're not talking perfection here. Okay, said another way, we miss 100% of what you intimate. We miss 90%, 95% of what you think we should just know. Why don't you do the dishes? Believe me, it's not a test of wills. He literally does not see it. If he has several things that he has to do, if there are business problems, he literally will not see what you see because it is meaningless in his life to the task at hand. A man is single focus. That is our greatest achievement. It is our greatest weakness. And you being a helpmate and a complementary force, okay? When men do not look for in a spouse that you are exactly like me. When we're dating and we look at these things, we look and say, she has self-confidence where I don't have. And literally, I know I haven't brought the Bible up at all in this, but if you go back to Genesis, that word that when God creates woman, what he is saying is, I am creating a helpmate for you, and not one that is like you, but one that complements you. He is strong where she is weak, and she is strong when he is weak. Why is it that a man can be physically strong, burst through walls, do everything, and looks at his wife and says, she is the strongest person I know, because she can handle things that I cannot handle. And you look at him and go, the man can change a tire, pick it up, carry it through, pick this, do this, and there's no way I can do anything like that. We are complementary. But we're incompletely made when it comes to the rule book for the other spouse. Your husband is not doing the dishes and the laundry a test of wills, unless that's his issue in life. I'm not saying that. But if you say, if you're going to ask me for something, sweetheart, I need you to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm not asking for a lot. Yes, you're tired. But don't ask me at 8 o'clock when nothing's been done, because that's a gap that cannot be bridged. But if you have done all of these things, and now I'm going to turn it around. Women, if you've told that to your man, and he has done those things, barring the 7:30 crisis that happens, that changes the rules, okay? If at that point he's made his wishes clear, you've given him a roadmap, and then you say, I don't feel like it, we're not doing, come to me some other time, you also need to realize something. A man, your husband, has voluntarily shut himself off from all other avenues of seeking affection from everybody else. That's inherent in the marriage contract. To deny those things repeatedly. I'm not talking once, I'm not talking twice, I'm not talking for a specific purpose. That's kind of, sort of what what's talked about in Corinthians chapter 7, concerning the things you wrote to me, husbands and wives, do not deny yourselves, but for a time. Hey, Terry, help me. 1st or 2nd Corinthians? First. First, thank you. I don't know why, I drew a blank. I'm 54, sorry. I had to rely on the old preacher to pull me out without stopping me to derail my thought. Sorry. That, sir, being a doctor means you always get asked, doctor, this hurts, help me out, whether you're retired or not. Being a retired preacher means you get to occasionally answer, where's this one verse come from in the Bible? So, but you need to recognize, and it is a legitimate point of talking about inside the marriage, that if you have set the roadmap, if the roadmap has been completed, and yet you still deny over the course of time repeatedly, there is a legitimate issue about him saying, you are not affectionate, I'm dying on the vine here, what's going on, what's the problem? So in actuality, the desire and the act can actually be a little bit separated. What I mean by that is, I've talked to family members about this, and one family member, they both said, we have a rule in our family, if one spouse asks for sex, it happens. And she said, no, I don't feel like it most of the time. During, after, great, but I don't feel like it. But that's the deal that we made. At the same time, when I ask for this, he drops everything and does this, because you have communicated wants, desires, needs, and said, this is of such importance, I will never ask unless it is needed, and I will do because I know that it's needed, and we will figure these things out. This is what I mean by communication. We use the same words, but we mean different things. And how do we have and build successful relationships? By communicating the things that we don't think need to be communicated, having the conversations that are difficult. Because when I open up to my spouse about something, I'm opening myself up to rejection, and it hurts. And how does a hurt come out in a man most of the time? Anger. An hour later, 2 days later, why are you so irritated? You're snapping at the kids, and you're doing this, and you're doing this. Completely not recognizing, because you haven't talked about it, where it came from. And that doesn't mean that I'm not pointing a finger, we haven't clearly communicated what that issue is. I have used sex, respect, security as the major themes, but in the couple minutes remaining, let's acknowledge if you have a marital relationship that is more volatile, that anger is a bigger issue and it's an overarching thing, you're starting from a place of, on the end of the spectrum, I'm not going to use the word normal, but you're starting from it on one end of the spectrum. Therefore, all of your reactions, all of your conversations are going to point toward the way of, let's get back to a place to where we can talk calmly. If you were raised as a child of an alcoholic, you don't shout, you don't yell. Your comfort is found in walking on eggshells and blending into the wallpaper, because that's where you don't make anything anybody's problem. If you grew up with violence, you either go the opposite extreme and become very, very passive, or you respond in violence because that's the only thing you're modeled. As a general rule, what happens, women? My wife grew up in a high conflict house at the time. Do you think she starts out an argument quietly, or does she start out really loud and really intense? Excuse me. And moderates over time. So I have to approach things in a particular way. My parents, they talked and argued behind closed doors. There was nothing that was shown. Things were, for all intents and purposes, I grew up on Leave It to Beaver. My parents were Ward and June Cleaver. So when I married my wife and had this woman going, ah, whoa, it took me a number of years to figure out how to handle that and how to deal with those things. So that it got so much after, I think it took me 12 to 14 years. It's not, but it took 12 to 14 years before I finally went, no, stop, back off. And she's like, good job, Mark. Yeah, I'm angry about this, but you finally stood up for yourself, because she needled me to go, no, you need to not be milquetoast about this. I'm not going anyplace. Once I learned that, now I argue with the best of them. I don't give up on anything. But so marital communication is vital. We have to take the extra steps. Was it first bell or second bell? Thank you. We have to take the extra steps that we don't normally take with other people in order to be stronger between each other and recognize the things that are often overlooked, not through maliciousness, not through manipulation, but through just understanding that we have a different focus about things. Okay, and I didn't even get into when the man is going out and mowing the lawn after cleaning the garage and doing the dishes, and he hasn't spoken to you in 3 hours, and you suddenly feel lonely, and you go, I need to go and interrupt what he's doing and go, sweetheart, can we go do something tonight? And I love you very much, and do you love me, and is everything okay? Don't interrupt me in the middle of doing all these things to ask me whether I love you or not, or care or feel. You have to it's single focus. Yeah, he snaps back with anger. Not actually angry. When we lose focus, we don't get it back the same way that you do. It takes a long time. You completely derail the train. But that's the moment that you usually choose to say, I need to figure out how we are in this relationship, or can you do this or something else, or add one more. Don't add that. For me personally, that is the thing that I've had to communicate to Allie. If you want me to snap back with anger, add one more thing to my list to do while I'm in the middle of doing a job for you. Wait till after. Tell me before. If you do it while, I'm going to blow up. Don't do it. Don't do it. I could, at work, when I worked, I could, but that was my work. High pressure, high stress. You have to be on the lookout for danger everywhere. Nothing is ever simple. You always have to pivot. Why can't I pivot when I'm at the house, or why do I blow up at the house where I don't? Because that's the one place that I want peace, I want harmony, and I don't want extra burden. Nobody does. You're not doing it to be mean. It's natural for you to go, I've been ignored, I need to check in. Everything fine? Good. You move on your way, and he doesn't. It's not mean, it's just we've never communicated the subtext to how we approach problems. Okay? So, next week, just so everybody knows, next 2 weeks I will not be here. There will be another teacher. I'll tell you, just like a 5th grade class, with the substitute, I expect good behavior. Don't throw pieces of paper at who's ever teaching. Be nice. You don't have to be here, but you just have to be nice if you are here, okay?
Unless it's Jeff.
Unless it's Jeff, and if Jeff comes in and teaches, grab a piece of paper and throw it at him and tell him I told you to, okay? Thank you.